pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
here.
Dr. Fike?
Here.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Here.
Mr. Polakowski?
Here.
Mrs. Raymond?
Here.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Here.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here. Just wanted to make an announcement that we were in executive session for some personnel matters. Citizens' comments?
Vicki Ullery.
Hello, everyone. My name's Vicki Ulrey. I live at 507 Parker Avenue in Scottsdale. I'm not a parent of a student, but I'm a grandparent. Last week, I sent an email to you all. I only received a reply or acknowledgement from Mrs. O'Rear, Mr. Carson, and Christy and Heather Smith. I don't know if the rest of you just ignored my email or just chose not to respond. But I thought it would, if I came to the meeting and you saw my upset and angry grandma face, it would mean more. I keep hearing the push for school children to wear masks. And for a country that wants to follow the science, this makes absolutely no sense to me. Masks do not stop the transmission of this virus, but instead they do harm to children. After 3 minutes of wearing a face mask, children have reached unacceptable levels of carbon dioxide. Separate findings of complaints related to mask wearing among over 25,000 children obtained through an online registry at the University of Witten-Herdecke cited some common complaints submitted by parents on behalf of their children, including irritability, 60%, headache, 53%, and difficulty concentrating, 50%. This does not include those who suffer from asthma and the damage it is doing to them. Here's what a professor at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine and the chief of pediatric infectious diseases at Tufts Children's Hospital said, quote, "The possibility psychological harm of widespread masking is an even greater worry. Facial expressions are integral to human connection, particularly for young children who are only learning how to signal fear, confusion, and happiness. Covering a child's face mutes these nonverbal forms of communication and can result in a robotic and emotionless interactions, anxiety, and depression. Seeing people speak is a building block of phonetic development. It's especially important with children with disabilities such as hearing impairment. I wonder if mandatory face masks could result in lawsuits. And please, no face mask on our athletes. No one knows a child better than their parents. This is why the decision to mask or not should lie fully with the parents, not the school board, not the teachers, and certainly not the teachers' union. Thank you.
Dan Kiefer.
My name is Jan Kiefer. I wasn't asked the subject that I was going to address the board to, so I'm not sure how you know if it's on the agenda, but I saw you took 2 people off without giving them the opportunity last week on your card, and I'm reading it in front of me. It says topic and subject, but that doesn't mean agenda item. That's a different legal way of saying that. In other words, I could talk about masks and be talking about a couple points on the agenda. So if I put mask on there and you say masks aren't on the agenda, then you've taken away my right, like you did with the 2 people last week. And it goes on. I would like to know if the teachers are contractually bonded in their contract, bound to come into the schools if the kids are not masked. I'd like to talk about taking 2 minutes away from the public speaking. You guys are habitually 10 minutes late. Starting the meeting on time. When you say email's a nice way to sort of cushion having less public time. That's a scary way of saying we'll divide and conquer. I'll tell you the answer, and if it's right or wrong, that's not out here in the public square. Not the same product, Madam President. So when we're talking about signs here, you're saying, well, we're going to follow the signs. So we have to say whose signs? Fair question. Now where do we go? Step number 2. We'll look at the signs of people that you've quoted and how horribly destructive and wrong it's been in the last couple years, especially on this COVID stuff, but it goes back, same people for 20, 30 years. And then we'll look at the signs of the people who are right all these years, the ones who are showing us that a lot of these deaths could have been avoided had we not had censoring of medicine to get to these people who have come down with COVID. So whose signs are we going to follow here? The big money, the ones who have bought all the politicians, or do you want to go with ones, independent scientists who are out there, who have been right and are heard by all the other people who are right and are ahead of their time? And I could start on the issues. Tobacco, asbestos, on down the line, sugar, electromagnetic field stuff, COVID vaccines. We've killed more people with COVID vaccines than we have all the other vaccines together. We're over 100,000 now. I gave you the count when we hit the Vietnam level of our casualties of 50. We're up to 100,000 now. You'd think that would make news. Millions of people all around the United States, or not around the United States, around the world. Yeah, millions are out protesting these lockdowns and this crap. Not in America. You know why? Because we're not going to waste our time protesting. That's for the first step. We're already to step 2. This is going to stop. We're not going to play these lockdown games any longer. We're not going to take your curriculum any longer. We're not going to take what you did to our students last year any longer. And you're telling me right now that you're going to do it again because these schools will be shut down in part or in full at any time. And you've not come through and said, here's how we're going to socialize those children out in the parks or whatever point. You let them rot psychologically, you're going to let them rot again unless you tell me what the plan is now. Why can't you tell us the plan? Do I have to, please, tell me about your health committee meetings. I heard there was another one. Is that right? Was it recorded? What came out of it? You blackballed me from that. And that's the only term on this. So how's that look in 1933 Germany or 1923 Italy? Just a generality. Am I out of time? Because I really didn't want to serve you the dignity of preparing a speech on why we should have public comment periods stay where it is. We've tried to lose it before. At the end of the period, hell, we had Mrs. Rhodes say we don't have to publish a whole meeting that John Molnar wanted to just erase. He said, no, we don't want to show that whole meeting. She voted for it. I think it took a while, but you were there, Jason. I remember a lot of there. That's a point in history. They're one of the people up there. Anyhow, do I have any more time? I'll just stand here because I'm not going to lose my last seconds. And I want you to go ahead and vote and take away the public's opportunity. I defy you to do it. The weather was really nice coming in here tonight. The news was terrible.
Time's up, Mr. Keeper. Thank you. Do you have a walk-on item this evening?
Yes, I will read the walk-on item. The board, it is under the topic of appointment of an independent business office, Audit, a consultant. The specific language is the board is asked to approve independent business manager consulting services of Pete Camarda at a rate of $110 per hour, not to exceed $4,840, and authorize the proper officers of the district to negotiate and execute a contract.
So I need a motion to walk that on. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes of the board meetings, June 10th, 2021.
Board is asked to consider the approval of the minutes of the June 10th, 2021 board meeting.
I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes of the board meetings, June 17th, 2021.
Board is asked to consider the approval of the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 board meeting.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes of the board meetings, July 8th, 2021.
Board is asked to consider the approval of the minutes of the July 8th, 2021 board meeting.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the minutes to take out the placement of Mrs. Laurel Bell. This needs to be taken out where she is actually being placed as a classroom assistant, as that did not happen in the meeting.
So,
Is there a second?
I
I'll
need
second.
a second.
I'll second the motion.
Just a voice vote, okay.
Voice vote?
Is there any discussion about that? I'm sorry. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now,
So on the minutes as amended
okay.
of the July 8th
Do we
meeting.
need another motion?
You need a motion to approve the amended minutes, yes. You
I'll
need
make that
to-
motion.
Okay, and I need a second? Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Superintendent information?
I've attached on public content the subsurface exploration reports for the paving project, and I received an email today from Mr. Scheller. He just wanted to give the board an update. HF Lentz is preparing their documents at this time, and it is with the intent that they will be ready for review next week. So it is hopeful that the paving project looks like it could be in the very near future. I don't think it's going to be done before school. I also, walking around the schools, it is so good to be able to enter into a school and see the teachers putting up bulletin boards, and they were actually smiling, and I saw some teachers that were actually humming to themselves. So it is just a wonderful experience to hopefully our students could be able to come back to schools under some sense of normalcy. I want to compliment Mr. Basham and his maintenance crew. A lot of things have been done over the summer, so they've been working very diligently. I also want to compliment Mr. Price and the custodial crew. If you're looking around the buildings, they're looking pretty good. I know at the middle school you can look down the hallways and it looks like they're wet, so that means there's a good shine on the floors. And I also want to recognize the administrative team, because I think the buildings are up. I know the buildings are, schedules are up. The buildings are getting ready for the return of students and faculty. So we're looking forward to the beginning of the school year, and looking forward to having the kids back in the buildings and the teachers back in the building. Thank you, Madam President.
District NWEA maps presentation.
I think Mr. Kilter.
Good evening, everybody. Wow. Yeah. It's working well. Good evening, everybody. I wanted to talk to you about something we had begun talking about last week, which was growth, and how we were going to be able to track and measure growth, particularly in grades K through 8 with this tool, and then in 9 through 12 with the CDT, which matches up with the Keystones. This is a really great program, NWEA Maps. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of it, how long it's been in existence, how it's been used, and how we intend to use it. And then once we've started using it more in our buildings, I would like to come back and talk to you a little bit about what it looks like and how it's working. But just an introduction for this evening, because I want you to have some background knowledge of where it came from and why we chose it. So in 1973, educators and researchers from Oregon and Washington started talking about looking for a way to create a more precise way to measure a student's individual academic level for growth, and then use that data to help teachers to come up with better strategies, more prescriptive strategies to help kids to learn. 4 years after this started, they formed a group called the Northwest Evaluation Association. This was incorporated in Oregon. So this began many, many years ago and has evolved over years. But the concept remains the same. And the idea was that we wanted to gather information about students throughout the course of a year. Sometimes we're looking at some summative data, which summative meaning at the end. By the time you're getting that information, at that point, students are moving on to the next grade. And it's informational only in that we might change our teaching strategies for the next group coming in. But the students are exiting, it's too late. And so this helps us to kind of be more prescriptive as we go. It's called normative data, and that helps you see where students are growing at an expected pace, regardless of where they're starting. It allows you to make some predictions about what kind of growth is typical or atypical. And today's kids are vastly different than those who were in school even 10 years ago. So we want to do these norming studies frequently. Our data will be combined with others from our area and then across the country, showing that we can kind of look at the comparisons apples to apples. How are we doing against kids locally or others taking this test in Pennsylvania, then across the board. What I really like about it is that this is not a new thing. This is a tried and true system that's been in existence for a really long time. And so they've been really working at this process. This isn't something that just came out of somebody's think tank a couple of years ago without any data behind it. They've been collecting data and refining these processes and redoing tests and asking different questions since the early 70s. I think that's a pretty nice collection of data that they've been able to collect over a long time. And you can see at the bottom, they use anonymous assessment data from over 11 million students to create national norms where we think they should fall based upon their performance. So this again is the larger the subject area and the data you're collecting, the smaller your area of deviation or error would be. So that's a really good way of collecting data, knowing that's pretty prescriptive. If you're only giving a test to 10 students as opposed to 1,000, the error would be significantly bigger for 1 in a 10 as opposed to 1 in 10,000. Just for clarity's sake, formative assessment means that it's ongoing, it's happening while we're teaching. Summative means at the conclusion of a lesson or a unit or a year, we are looking back to see whether somebody's completed it. From the professional learning community model, we call that the difference between an autopsy and a physical. Summative is it's over, and formative is we're still working at it. We're still kind of gaining information. So these are formative assessments that happen at least once at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year, to help us gauge where we are at the beginning, baseline test, a mid-year test, and end-of-year test. And for special education teachers, they've been doing this for a long time. Progress monitoring is something they're required to do quarterly. So this is, again, it's not new information, it's just extending what we think is good practice for all of us to be doing. So we will be giving this in math K through 8. In fact, one of my teachers a couple of years ago brought this to my attention. A third grade teacher said to me, you know, we're always looking at all this data for reading, but we never had one for math. And I said, yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. We've been collecting reading data a long time. We've used Dibbles and other measures, but math there really never was one. So I started asking questions about, well, who does do math? And all of our research tells us that these guys do a great job of it. So is K through 8 in math, 3 through 8 in reading, because we have been using Acadians for a couple years. We'd like to keep that 3-year collection of data in Acadians before moving out of it. We'd like to see how that worked. Really exciting though. For the first time in our history, we're collecting growth and performance data to track across time student growth using one tool, K through 8. And then at the 9-12 level, we're going to be focusing on the CETs, classroom diagnostic tool, that matches up with the Keystones. Mr. Krofchuk would tell you that that's that better measure for them. Also, if you're a junior or a senior, you're tested out, guys. And if we're collecting data for those guys and they've passed their Keystones, we're like, you got to take it anyway. That data may not be reflective of where they are. So we don't know that that's really going to be beneficial to us. We don't know that we want to continue to push that. Kids are, but by that point, they're done taking tests. So the advantages, we can take this on our Chromebooks, which is great. Kids can take it right there in classes. It immediately collects data and collects it for us. The assessments, depending on the level for the student, could be between 5 to 30 minutes. It's collected in real time, and we can generate reports that we can share with families, and we can also review with our teams. So it also matches up with a multi-tiered system of supports and RTI, response intervention systems, we've been talking about. We got rolling at the elementary school and the primary center a little while back, and then COVID kind of got in the way, so we'll be getting back to them. Good response systems for kids who are struggling, and this works with those kind of structures. Data will proceed with the students, so when you move on to next year, we'll have those reports and be able to look at them to see how you're doing. I think that's really going to be pretty neat. All right. So our implementation schedule, we'll be training on August 31st, give everybody a chance to get the baseline testing information, how to log in, what does the test look like, how to support students. In September, I don't know which week yet, we're going to kind of get in and get everybody settled, and then we'll set the dates to open the window for the testing. We will do our baseline testing in September. In October, we'll be training again, and we'll be talking about what we saw on that first test, so we understand what the data tells us, right? Be able to look at it more clearly. In January, we'll take the mid-level test, mid-year test, and then in February, we'll get together and be able to compare the first test to the mid-year test. And they'll help us to do that and give us some good best practices on what that tells us. So we have professional development to go along with the program. You can't just roll these things out and say, okay, teachers, go and do it. We want to make sure that we know what we're looking at in terms of data and we're using it appropriately. So I'm really excited about this. Growth has been an issue for us for a long time. And I don't know that this is the panacea that solves all our ills, but I know that we have not done this. And so I want to know if this doesn't help us to be a little bit more prescriptive during the school year instead of looking back at last year's performance and trying to make adjustments for the kids coming in without really a strategy to adjust things during the year for kids who are struggling right in front of us. So that's a little bit about the MAPS program. I'm very grateful to the board who supported me when I brought that up. Thank you. We are really excited about it. We have a 3-year contract to collect data. So this isn't a flash in the pan thing. We've made a commitment to it. If you were still feeling like it's working well, we'll continue to do that going forward. I would like to see it go for a long time, because I think if we can do that, we'll really be able to track kids' growth over time and see where things are working and where they're not. Questions for me? Or comments?
Does MAP stand for something? Does MAP stand for something?
Northwest Education Association, I think.
No,
is what,
MAP.
MAPS. I don't know. It's an assessment program. I'm not sure what the M stands for, but.
Oh, okay.
And I'm usually the acronym guy, but I think I'm just acronym guy. I honestly don't remember. I would love to tell you, no, I don't. But what I do know is that Greensburg-Salem, for example, is using this and to great effect. There are some other local districts that are using it. So I was able to speak with some of their folks, and they were really praising it and saying, hey, we're just getting our hands around it, but already we're able to see some things that we couldn't see before. And I don't expect us to be proficient at it day one, but what I do expect us to be good at is saying, okay, this is part of what we do now, right? And we'll get really narrow in our focus. We're going to start by collecting data, and then as we look at it, we'll start getting more and more narrow on what we need to do to make things better for kids. So we're going to open by collecting a lot of information and then start solving some of those issues that we see. So I'm not super confident in the acronym. I want to say...
Measures of academic progress.
Thank you.
Oh, I guess I could have Googled it while sitting
I
here.
should
I was
have
listening.
Googled it.
This is a normed
Yes.
thing. So you're going to submit our data to somebody, and they're going to compare our kids to the nation. Is that right?
They'll be part of a pool, yes.
Okay. Are you going to get back a report how we compare
Yes.
on a national basis?
Yes. So they will give both how we're doing individually for students to track them over time, and then against kids in their cadre that year, right? So you can see it as a national comparison. Yes, you can.
Because we're going to continue to do the state comparison with the PSSAs and the
Yes.
questions and so forth. But this is a national norm.
And the reason I like this, Dr. Frank, thank you for bringing that part of it up. The bigger the pool of data you're collecting, the smaller that error is going to be, right? When we're looking at that many people taking the test, that means the error that you might find in it is going to be significantly smaller. So it should be more accurate. Sometimes when we're assessing something and we only have a small pool, one or two people can make a huge difference. When you're looking at 11 million students and you're saying, is the efficacy of this test really good? At 11 million, your standard error is pretty small. It's pretty, you can have a lot of confidence that this is accurate. So, and this is a system that's been in place since the 70s. So these guys have been working this system over and over and over again and changing with the times to make it fit. So I feel like that's a really, you can trust the data that we'll get from it.
Well, the larger the sample, the smaller the error.
Precisely.
No two ways about that. But I did not realize that it was national, and we would be getting feedback on it.
Yes, because we'd be participating in that.
Would we still be doing dibbles?
So Acadia, Dibbles is the Acadian thing. It's K1-2 for now. One last year, because we started it 2 years ago, and we'd like to collect 3 years of data on those students at K1-2 band, and then we're going to shift over. So I would like to have that just to be able to follow those guys and not start from scratch with them.
Because the MAPS does reading and math, right?
Yes, MAPS does both.
And the-
Acadians only does reading.
Okay.
And so for a long time, we were just doing reading. And again, it was a teacher who said to me, you know, I would really like to know how we do in math. And I didn't really have a good answer for that. I kind of sheepishly say, yeah, I wish I knew that too, you know. So, but when you're hearing that from your staff, then you need to respond and say, okay, well, is there something? I don't know, maybe there is. And so in my research and talking with other folks who are similarly situated in their work, this was one that we really felt was pretty confident. It's a big one, a national one. It's not something that just came out in a year or two ago, some kind of tech flying thing. It's really pretty grounded in research. And I have some of that in here for you. You guys can continue to look at it.
Did you say that this starts in October?
So the testing window will be in September for our baseline once kids return, and then we'll do another one in January, and then one at the end of the year.
September, January, the end of the year. Okay. So, and it says here, it doesn't matter where the kid is. You're going to know in September where the kid is.
Right. That baseline will establish for you what they know and don't know based upon that test. So we'll then be able to collect that information and look at. So let's say, for example, Dr. Frank, we have a large number of students who are struggling with phoneme segmentation, building words. Well, that's going to tell us that this isn't just a one or two kid issue that we need to think about maybe giving them individual support. It might be a programmatic issue, and the way that we're teaching it or the way we're collecting the results isn't good. And so we need to rethink our strategy. So it can be as powerful as helping you to rethink your curriculum and the way you teach things, or it can be individualized and saying, hey, this student, he was a baseline student who's at this level, he's still there in January, how come? Right? Why aren't we making progress?
Well, I'm more concerned about the fact that over last year, there may have been a great deal of regression, and it's important for the teacher to know where that child is now.
Yes. This will reflect that. This will tell us where they are. And what's nice about it is we get the data in real time. It won't be sending it away and have to wait for it to come back. When you take a PSSA test, it has to go to the state. They have to have assessor score it. It has to be sent back to you. Then we have to disaggregate it. Here, we'll be able to collect that data pretty quickly in real time.
So Dan, these teachers can monitor the progress between September and January and June.
Yes, so the idea will be that we train up on how to give it and how to read the first one here in the first couple weeks of school, give the test, and then they'll come back and see us after we give it the second time, and they'll talk to us about how we look at one versus the other and what that indicates. So, I mean, we can do it on our own. We can look at the differences, but I would like that training. That training is going to be important on how to read it.
Is this done online?
Yes.
The kids too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're in Oregon, they said we could come, and I said, what's that cost? And they were like, well, and I was like, I think we'll just Zoom. That's good. We're good. So
how long does the training last to give a test like this?
It's 2 hours for the first thing that we'll be doing, and then it'll be 2 hours each additional time. So I bought 3 sessions of 2 hours 3 times this year, and then each year we'll have that same set. So I bought a 3-year, we bought, I didn't buy anything. You guys bought, thank you, bought us a package for 3 years. So with every year having us be able to continue to ask questions and have them tailor after we get our data some things that we can do with it. In year one, it's really just about giving the test appropriately, collecting data, and just being able to look at it. And then down the road, they might be able to tell us even more about how to use that in different ways. So it's a commitment, I think, of time. It's not going to solve all of our problems right away, but I think it's a great place to begin. Let's get some accurate data that we know we can trust and then make some decisions from it.
Are these going to be based on the curriculum that we're already teaching?
So these are nationally normed-based reference tests, so that these are things that we would expect any second grader anywhere to know, right? Any third grader to know. Because there are some boilerplate things that all states would ask kids to do. And from that, they can extrapolate how much you are on level or behind or ahead. And then we'll be able to make some decisions individually and then collectively about what we're doing well and where we need to focus our energy.
Any other questions?
Thank you again for letting us do this. We appreciate it. I think it's been great.
Thank you.
Michelle, before you go on, there was an executive comment before this. It's about the shredding truck in the elementary middle school parking lot. We don't have to vote on that like we do for the parades and all that stuff.
Under superintendent information?
Yeah, it's just at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah,
The two representatives are bringing a shredding truck.
Use our parking lot.
We don't have to vote on that, do we?
No.
I don't believe we need a.
I believe we talked about use of parking lots has typically not been approved. It's just an information item. Is that how it's been handled previously?
But no, because we have an item on here. Actually, there's two items on here that we're voting this evening to use for the Scotch Elk Parade and the Fall Festival Parade for lineup.
And you're
we
going
have
to
in the
want to put
past
them on.
Voted on those.
If you've voted on them in the past, then you're going to need a vote on this one as well.
So we will need to, should we walk
Dr.
that
Pike,
on?
where do you see that? I'm missing that somewhere.
Under the superintendent's information.
Like the whole way down the page, like.
Okay, now
It's
I
not
see it.
scheduled
I see
until
it.
September 25th,
But
so
would
you
they
can put it
want-
on a subsequent agenda.
I just want to make sure it's available to them.
Would they want to have an answer prior to, so they, because it looks like they're wanting to put this information out to the public for them to be able, since we have another walk-on item, could we just walk this on as well?
You can walk this on this evening if you want to take
Would
action
we need
tonight.
anybody from our school to be there?
Doesn't look like it. I just think that this is something that they're putting out there for the public to be able to use, and I would think that they would like to advertise that soon. So I would need a motion to walk this item on as well.
I'll make the
Now?
motion. I'll make the
I
motion.
make the motion. I want
All right,
them
I'll
to do
second.
it.
And second, discussion. Just wanted to make sure everybody sees this. It's Representatives Warner and DeVanzo would like to provide a box truck for shredding available to the community September 25th from 9 a.m. to noon at the elementary middle school parking lot. There is no cost to the district.
Shredding.
Anything you want.
Anything you want to take there, so like
Furniture or anything.
paper. It's like if you had papers that you wanted to shred, old tax returns or anything, I'm sure they'll.
People you don't like, bring them up.
I never heard of something like it before bringing it.
No, it's really a nice service, but we do such a big fuss about parking lots for parades now. I just want to make sure, or if they need electricity or something, I
Right.
think they should have it.
I agree. Okay, so is there any other discussion about that? Okay, all those in favor of walking this on? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Let me find where we are here again. Business manager.
I would like to report on our refinancing. We had two notes that were refinanced this past month. The first note was for $9,848,000, which includes $760,000 in new funds for the roof project at the primary building. Over the life of the loan, because FNB gave us such a wonderful rate, we were able to save $91,832.55 on that note. The second refinancing was a note of $9,475,000. We realized the savings to the district on that note and FNB won that bid as well, $304,397.72 over the life of the loan. In total, the district saved $396,290.27. Of that, whenever PFM had presented this initially, they had suggested that we might save $200,000. We almost doubled that, which is wonderful for the district. One of the caveats with this loan, I will tell you though, is that FNB requested to be able to send us a request for proposal. I prepared the request for proposal. I had it vetted by Mrs. Zundel, and I sent it out to our current bank as well as FNB to see where they are, because currently the bank that we are utilizing is charging us a analysis fee each month to the tune of about $6,000 per year. So it was something that I was going to look at in the future, our banking, because obviously I don't feel that the district should be paying an analysis fee. So that's something that I wanted to look at, and like I said, I may come to you next month and ask for us to change banks depending upon the results of the request for proposal.
What is an analysis fee consist of?
Analysis fee, it basically, they just analyze our account and they look at it, and they've been charging us $400 to $500 per month. I know that we, pardon me?
How long?
Whenever I came to the district, Mrs. Lane told me that this had started probably about 6 to 8 months ago. And so therefore, that was one of the things that I was going to place on my radar, to work on an RFP to look at our banking services, because like I said, I don't feel as an institution that's funded by taxpayers that we should be paying fees like that. But like I said, looking at this financing, and with First National Bank winning both loans and coming in with such competitive rates for us, because they were interested in getting our business. And as I've said to Mr. Masha in our conversations, I've worked with First National Bank in my past 2 school districts, and I can tell you one of the things that I know about them is they're not only a bank for you, they're your partner, and they work very well with you. So like I said, you know, we're just working on waiting for the results to come in and see where we're going to land. But I was very happy with the savings for the district.
Thank you.
Solicitor information.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. I just have a couple things quickly, just to touch on the topic that Ms. Mondock had discussed. I've been working with the administration on assisting with the financing transaction, working on just some of the final tasks of transfer of your solicitor work to our firm, working on with administration on legal questions that arise, arranging the board agendas. I provided an additional update on several other items that I've been working on as a district's legal counsel in executive session this evening. And I just finally want to, because it's the first school year that we will be working with you, that I will be at the table, I wanted to wish the board, staff, administration a successful 21-22 school year with lots of in-person learning happening. Thank you.
Okay, food service director, I think she gave her report last week. CWCTC report.
Just a couple things. I guess over the summer, there's been some construction remodeling going on out there. They redid the main office entrance. They put in a new computer programming lab, remodeled the health occupations classroom, PSBA policies review to begin in September, PASBO business operations audit to begin August 18th, which is and then good news with the Michelle DeLuca, the coordinator of grants. She received information that we're going to be getting $770,000 for ESSERS 3, for obviously for technical education. And that's it. I just want to give a shout out to the new director out there. He's doing a fabulous job and ready to go. New year. Good.
WIU report.
We didn't have a meeting in July. We have one next week, so.
The SBA liaison report.
I just have a couple of comments here. Pennsylvania Agriculture Secretary Russell Redding announced Tuesday the opening of the 2021-2022 PA Farm Bill's $500,000 farm-to-school grant program. It will improve access to healthy local foods and increase agriculture education opportunities for pre-K through 5th grade kids. Quote, our farm-to-school program works to improve health and nutrition for young children, it provides hands-on agricultural education and supports local farmers, end quote, said Redding. Quote, through this program, Pennsylvania schools have the opportunity to address our workforce needs of the future by encouraging agricultural interest in the young kids. I think what they're trying to do, pardon the pun, is plant the seeds, get the kids interested, and, they actually can see that kind of stuff growing. Again, no pun intended. Also, I wanted to make other board members aware that the PASA and PSBA School Leadership Conference is going to be held in the Poconos September 27th to the 29th.
They just sent out an email today.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they sent out an email today that they're doing everything virtually.
Oh, well.
They didn't have.
There's been a lack of registration, and it was going to cost more to have it there.
Oh, imagine so. It's okay. Never mind. I'm done.
Thank you.
You just wanted to go to the Poconos.
Right?
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
That's it. Okay, committee reports. Do you have anything, Mrs. Rose? Do you have anything, Mrs. Smith?
Finished up the agreement that we voted on last month. Audit.
Anything? Okay, we haven't.
No, we meet in September. Nothing in August.
I think with Mr. Mash's update on the paving, I think paving was October, is that what we're looking at? And the roof at SPC is November. I think that's what the last emails have said.
Yeah.
General Fund Board Summary Report.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the August 2021 General Fund Board Summary.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Fund accounting check summary listing.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the July 2021 General Fund Accounting and the July 2021 Food Service Check Summary listing.
Need a motion.
I'll make them.
I need a second. Discussion. Roll call.
I'm sorry, was that Mrs. Smith maybe?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Monthly Board Treasurer's Report.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the August 2021 Treasurer's Report.
I need a motion. Need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
I'm sorry, Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
PD 2020-2021, number 101, bill summary.
The board is asked to pay the attached invoice in the amount of $8,217.04 submitted by Mr. Patonic for legal services.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Is that a final bill? Go on retainer or something?
No, that should be the final bill.
This was one case dragged out for nearly 6 months that should have been settled within 45 days. I think this is a real disservice and just absolutely a terrible bill that we have received for something that should have never amounted to this.
Is there any other discussion?
Laid out, invoice or something that lays out like what actually these charges pertain to?
I think,
Statutory.
so there is hours that he has worked on here. I think if you scroll down to the bottom, there are some hours there. But it does not say specifically. And I would just caution everybody that there needs to be further discussion on this. It needs to happen in executive session. I will entertain a motion to table this if anybody needs more information. Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
And oh, no.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Pass.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 7 yes, 1 no, 1 pass.
Do we want to take public comment on the walk-on items here? Yes. Is there any public comment on the 2 walk-on items? There was a walk-on item for paper shredding to occur at the elementary and middle school, and there is a walk-on item to hire someone for the business office audit.
And can we clarify that the business office audit was on the agenda? There were some blank spots to it. So we have completed those spots with more information. That's why it's become a walk-on item.
Okay. First reading for policy 903, public participation in board meetings.
That is the first read. That's for discussion and information purposes.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I would like to discuss this again. I just can't believe that with the seriousness of the decisions that are being made regarding our children, the masking, all of the issues with their education and so forth, that we have cut public participation by 40%. Cut it. And as I look at what's going on in other areas, it seems to me that what is the goal here? To silence you? Do we want to silence the public? I don't want to silence the public. I want to hear more from them. I've heard people criticize severely because they don't give enough information to the public and don't talk to the public and don't deal with the public. And to me, it's a hypocrisy that now what you're going to do is cut down their ability to communicate with us. I think this is a terrible policy, and I just hope and pray that this board will vote no.
Is there any other discussion? Business office audit.
The board is asked to approve independent business manager consulting services of Pete Camarda at a rate of $110 per hour, not to exceed $4,840, and authorize the proper officers of the district to negotiate and execute a contract.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Is there any way we can have this information at least by the end of October or soon in the year? I mean, I understand the
I think we've
situation.
been told not by this individual. And the other individual was wanting to work with another consulting firm possibly, and would not provide the same scope that this person.
No, I'm not questioning this. I'm questioning, can we get the information, the results of this audit by at least November, early November, late October, early November?
He's already, I think, said no.
Yeah. He's not able to do that timeline because of a pre-scheduled time out of town that he had on his calendar when the proposal was made. And he was very clear about that from the beginning of putting his proposal in. He does understand that the board wants information quickly, and so I think in conversing with him, he will be able to give the board frequent updates so that you can track his progress along the way, but a final result will not be available until approximately end of November.
Now, I don't object to him doing it. I just thought, I would hope that he could accelerate that because I'd certainly like to know the results of it sooner.
Is there any other discussion?
With that being said, like what you've said, Mrs. Zundel, that mean like have to give us a new letter of the intent of his services? Because on this, it says I would be able to deliver a report to the board by the end of October 2021 or mid-November 2021. Would he have to submit another?
He doesn't have to submit another proposal. He had indicated to me, even after he submitted that written proposal, that given the scope and looking at his calendar again, that he wasn't able to commit to the timeline that he had even initially wrote. And when you hire a consultant like this, that is a retired person, it's something that unfortunately comes with that territory. I can tell you that in the conversations that I've had with him, that he understands the urgency of the matter.
Yeah, I guess I personally like, I mean, when we replace somebody, have something a little bit more secure than just like, well, it wouldn't be what I've already put on this, but it would be kind of maybe here. You know what I mean? Just something in writing from him that says that.
I think he does say that it would be by the end of October or mid-2021. Is he saying not till the end?
He's saying not until after he submitted that written proposal. He advised me via email that he would not be able to commit to the timeline because he
So
had
at least
looked
it
at his
is in
calendar.
writing. Though. I didn't know if like it was in an email that maybe you could at least.
I believe it's
share
in
with us,
it's
with
in
all of
an
us?
email. I would be happy to share that email
Okay.
with the board.
Okay.
And I think one of the other factors that went into this for the consultant is understanding that the scope, he's somebody coming in independently, and he will get, there may be a lot to digest. And he didn't want to shortchange the, the validity of the audit by
I just
not
would hate
being
for
able to
something
commit
down
time.
the road, like here comes February and it's still not done, and then he needs more money. And, you know what I mean? Not that that would happen, but like we don't know who he is. You know what I mean?
Well, the
So I
not
wanna
to
secure it.
exceed amount, once you approve a not to exceed amount, the contract, it stops at that amount of hours that he identified.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Delegates for Westmoreland County Tax Collection Committee, WCTCC.
Board is asked to appoint Diane Fake, East Huntington Tax Collector, as a delegate, and Pam Mondoff, Business Manager / Transportation Director, as alternate delegate for the Westmoreland County Tax Collection Committee.
Need a motion? I need a second. Discussion?
What is the Westmoreland County Tax Collection Committee? What is it?
The committee actually works with currently the earned income tax collection.
That's what I thought. I thought this is a group. This is for the tax collectors, which has not been one of my favorites. Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Payment of ESY teachers.
The board is asked to approve a memorandum of understanding MOU between the Southmoreland School District and the Southmoreland Education Association relating to pay rate of ESY teachers.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
And the next item, there's a similar thing, and it says this applies only for the 2021 summer. That's in the next item. Does this item apply only to the 2021?
That's correct. The content of the MOU makes clear that it's just for summer of 2021.
Okay, because the next one says that. This one doesn't, that's all. Make
We
sure.
don't have an MOU with the paraprofessionals. We do need an MOU.
My
with
question,
SES.
Michelle, is this a one-time thing?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I want to make sure,
Absolutely. Yes.
that we're not setting a precedent here.
Yes, that's why we have the MOU done, to just clarify that. And this does take the pay rate for ESY teachers to a rate of $35 an hour for this summer, 2021. Is there any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Payment of ESY aids.
The board is asked to ratify the payment of ESY aids, the increased rate of $17.50 per hour. This applies only for the 2021 summer.
I need a motion.
Make the motion. I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Army Star Program.
The board is asked to approve the Army Star Program at no cost to the district for the 2021-2022 school year, which is a programmatic offering for grades 9 through 12.
I need a motion.
I make that motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
District Comprehensive Plan. I'm sorry, did I miss something? Yep. Affiliation Agreement with St. Vincent College. I'm sorry.
The board is asked to approve an affiliation agreement between St. Vincent's College and Southmoreland School District for the placement of pre-service students and interns to work and collaborate within the district.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Cost for this is $1,000 and some dollars, isn't it?
No,
No? This is free?
this is just teachers coming in and working with our teachers for their pre-service agreement.
Is it free?
Yeah.
This one's free.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is
there's-
different than the drug and alcohol.
Yes,
This is essentially like student teachers,
student
right?
teachers, yeah. This-
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson? Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Carries 9-0.
District Comprehensive Plan.
The board is asked to approve the district comprehensive plan.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. O'Rear.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Southmoreland Elementary School Comprehensive Plan.
Board is asked to approve the the Southmoreland Elementary School Comprehensive Plan.
I need a motion. I need a second. Discussion.
I just had a quick question. Do the comprehensive plans like have to go anywhere, or do they just for our?
No, they have to be submitted to the state.
Okay.
Actually, Mrs. Williams has to sign off of it, the IU director for the primary center and the elementary school, and myself from it. So,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, we're Title I schools, so they have to be submitted to the state.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes. Yes. Mrs. Heather Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Southmoreland Primary Center Comprehensive Plan.
The board is asked to approve the Southmoreland Primary Center Comprehensive Plan.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
On, Mr. Mashal, on page 4, it says meeting date 8/29/2018. Is that a past review of data that they've had, or is that just date incorrect? On page 4.
Data planning for benchmark testing, and that was passed. Looks like I don't think we do an NSGRA testing. Dr. Clara. Up the phone.
Here you go. I got it. I stepped on a wire, I'm sorry. I guess that did that.
I know.
Now? I thought at least I didn't get electrocuted.
Someone just got shot.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. We're all.
Don't step on those wires.
So hopefully everybody's okay. That was an old data set. The next time we do that, we'll have a new data set. That was the last time we collected large sample data. NSGRA was an old sample set. Next time will be with maps. So we don't have that one yet. That hasn't been done, but we will be doing that next time. So the last time we tried to do that with the primary center was through Next Step and Guided Reading Assessment, which we no longer use, and we'll be using maps next time. So that'll be the last time we did that kind of a collection.
Is there any other discussion? A roll call.
Mrs. Raymond.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
AARP ESSER Health and Safety Plan.
The board is asked to approve the updated Southmoreland School District ARP ESSER Health and Safety Plan.
I need a motion. Sorry.
A motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion?
Does this plan include how the money is to be spent?
No.
No, it does not
This is
include
just
that
health
part
and
of
safety
it.
plan.
Just the health and safety. But it's not related to the money for health or safety. It's just,
It's not how we're spending the money now.
yeah, that a lot of that Esther's money was health and safety. That's why I asked.
No, this is not spending of funds. This is just the health and safety plan that we are required to submit.
So I think that the public needs to know that this does mention masking for school. It mentions that you have to wear a mask on public transportation, but during the school, you do not need to wear a mask during the school day, just for public transportation.
And the word is recommended. It is recommended but not required for masking.
But masking is required on the bus.
Yes,
But that's not our choice.
that's not our choice.
That's not something we can say, forget it.
But
That's
it's not
mandated.
required, only on the transportation.
Correct.
And that can be made to the, I mean, I know it'll be made to the public, but I mean, from our website, can the public print it out?
Yeah,
You can
we
print out
actually
Word
have to
docs
post,
now.
we have to, tomorrow, we have to send the URL to our, it has to be sent to PDE, so it's going to be on our website. And
They can print it out from Board Docs right now. I mean, it's
Oh, I guess
public.
so. Yeah, that's true. Okay. All right.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
No.
Mrs. Williams?
No.
Motion carries, 7 yes, 2 no.
Dr. Clara and Mr. Krofcheck, they were both in attendance at the health and safety meeting, and and some of the parents had brought up some things, and we've discussed some things in that meeting, and I thought maybe they would like to share some things of how we're going to move forward. If there are cases, if there are closures, if there are different things going on in the district. We thought it was very important that we start communicating now, so parents are aware that these things, even though there is no masking, these things could still happen as calls are made to the Department of Health.
Thanks. We just want to mention that in our discussion from the health and safety meeting, one of the things that came out of it, and we have some folks who attended who are here, so they can also, if they want to add to it, communicating what school would look like when we open and what would happen if we had a potential case or closures. And we wanted to talk about two things. First of all, those rules are still in place. If someone is diagnosed with COVID, then they will be quarantining, and that can affect other people who are around them. And we have a frequently asked questions page that we're going to be putting out. In fact, we would ask that tomorrow, if anybody has any additional ones, and the ones we've already collected, we'd ask them to please send them to us. We'll add them to it, and Monday we'll post it. That goes over many of these things, but we'll talk just a few of those things tonight. If we have cases of a student who has been positive for COVID, then obviously they'll be quarantining. They'll follow the same procedure they would have followed last year. Contact tracing will occur as it did last year, and decisions will be made based upon how close students were and whether they are considered to be positive also or needing to be quarantined.
I think it's also clear to be out front saying, excuse me, that the potential of rising cases will follow the same structure and guidelines as it did prior to this school year. So if we have major outbreaks in the buildings, we could see the same recommendations by the Department of Health as we have in the past. So even though things are a little bit different in some regards, that is still a potential to happen That has not gone away, and we did see several over the course of last year. We did see several large quarantines, and obviously a number of buildings that have been closed on and off through the course of the year. All of those guidelines have remained virtually unchanged through contact tracing, and all those items together can result in those things. So we want to be clear on that as we really embark upon this school year.
I know that one, is it okay to ask a question? I know that one question we had discussed and that parents have been asking us is if a child decides to wear a mask to school and is exposed, do they still have to quarantine? In the same vein, if someone has been vaccinated and is exposed, do they still have to quarantine?
Yes to both.
I didn't hear you. Yes to both?
Yes.
Okay.
The only external mitigating factor that they came up with through CDC and then through PDE's DOH was if everyone were wearing a mask, then quarantine may not be necessary. But even if they don't, then that's not the case anymore. It's actually part of our frequently asked questions. We'll be posting that very specific language, which we took right from it. Other districts have also put that into theirs as well, because it seems to, I'm sorry, I'm not close enough.
I know, I just can't hear anything tonight. I don't know.
I'm not close. So that is information that we'll be sharing, that frequently asked questions. Those are not our ideas. Those are rules that we have to abide by. So that's not a Southmoreland thing.
Okay, thank you. And I know there were questions about busing. There will be masks on buses in case kids forget. No one's going to be left at a bus stop or left at school because they're not wearing a mask. They will be given masks.
Did you say that nothing has really changed in regard to the rules that apply from last year?
So at the end of the year, CDC and now I'm really loud. CDC and DOH were giving us the same contact tracing rules, follow those things. They have not been repealed. Those are not changed.
And nothing really has changed. We could have another year just like the one we had.
Correct?
I certainly hope not.
Yes.
I
But
hope not too, but we could.
But yes.
When it comes to the rules and the data that they're putting out and the numbers that they spew all the time, we could exactly have the same thing happen again.
they will compel us to follow those rules.
The only thing that changes that is if everyone wears a mask all the time, then you don't, from what we've been told, you don't have to do the contact tracing or quarantining.
Correct.
But that's not
So
reality.
that's an exception in the CDC guidelines now, is that if children in the building are all masked, then there is no quarantining of the students. If a teacher is exposed, the rules are different. If it's an adult. If it's a child, the rules are, if everybody was masked, no quarantining. But even if the teacher is masked and the students are masked, the teacher would still quarantine.
We have a lot of that all spelled out in that FAQ that our parent group had asked us to include. So we built one for you. We're going to give tomorrow for maybe some that we haven't thought of that people can send to us, and then we'll put that out for Monday. But I think it's pretty comprehensive and very thorough.
So tomorrow, after that's finished, I think if you get that to Vince, Mr. Masha, then he can send that out to the board via email, just so we have those frequently asked questions.
Absolutely. We have that already built. If there are any additional questions tomorrow that we want to add to it, we'll put them in there, and then we'll have it ready to go. We have about 3 pages of answers to all kinds of questions. Lockers, no lockers, all kinds of things that we were asked that we thought would be important to share with our community so they would know that well ahead of time. Lockers or no lockers, what does bus look like? Even what's the first day of school? We really went through and talked about everything that we thought we should make sure that they know. And that was really, thank you to our community who helped us to come up with that, and teachers who helped us to come up with that and reviewed it. We shared it with our teaching leadership as well. They looked at it with us and made sure that we didn't leave anything out. We feel like we did a pretty good job there. Nothing is infallible. I'm sure there'll be questions we didn't think of, and we'll add them as we get them, but I think that's a great place for us to begin.
Could we do a robocall telling everyone that there is information on the website so they know to look there?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I'm not asking you. Is that a possibility?
Yes, we were planning that.
Okay, thanks.
Non-COVID related all buildings are going to be putting out a first day of school FAQ that's not COVID related. So
Okay.
I developed it for the high school and actually used it last year. Where do I go? Where's my home room? What happens if I drive? What if my parents drop us off? We felt also pertinent to be clear on that so that everybody knows exactly where they're going on September 1st. So did we share about the Facebook and things?
No, go ahead. You want to talk?
Yeah, and we also decided today, with the help of Mr. Boring as well, we have, I think it was Mrs. O'Rear talked about in the meeting on Monday, the usage of social media. We're going to kind of centralize our Facebook accounts. I think high school's account hasn't been used in years, so we feel that's a very easy way to communicate information. We already use Twitter for athletics. We'll start with Facebook, which is probably the most widely used to get information out. And Mr. Boring volunteered to really take point on that.
So we'll have a district level and then each building level. Be able to tag things so that you can find them in both places. We know that people use that as great, a good way that we can communicate things that are coming up or good things that are happening. So we'll start that.
In case it wasn't heard, Mr. Boring is taking the lead on that, so I want to thank Mr. Boring for volunteering to do that.
Good job, Mr. Boring.
Now, as far as these, the accounts, will they just be kind of information based? Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. Great.
Thank you very much. District Athletic Health and Safety Plan.
The board is asked to approve the Southmoreland School District Athletic Health and Safety Plan.
There was I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. There was a change made to the policy from last week. We had asked for some guidance from the solicitor, just because students still have to wear masks on the bus. So it says district shall comply with the CDC order regarding the use of masks on school transportation, regardless of whether the student or the employee is vaccinated. So that was added. Everything else remains the same as it was last week.
The only problem I have with that is that it makes it sound like we're deciding to comply with it when we really don't have a choice. And I know that that's just like the legal wording for it, but I just want to make everyone aware that we don't have a decision as to whether or not we want to comply with it. We have to, if that makes sense.
Is there different wording that can be used?
No, I'm not asking you to do different wording, because I'm sure to some people they understand. To me, that's what it sounds like. And that's why I just want to say one more time, because I've gotten a lot of emails about it. We're not deciding whether or not, it's not guidance, it's not a suggestion, it's an order.
That's correct.
We don't get to decide if we're going to comply with it or not. It's just an order.
Any other discussion? A roll call?
Mrs. Heather Smith? Yes. Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Sure, yeah.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
No.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
No.
Motion carries 7 yes, 2 no.
Disposal of old equipment.
The board is asked to authorize the disposal of old equipment pursuant to school code, regulations, and school policy.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second? Discussion?
13 and 14, is there any reason for a roll call vote?
I think this is possibly going to cost money to be rid of these things, is it?
Pursuant to school code regulations and
Would
school
like to get
policy.
money off of it.
Okay, whatever.
Typically, that's not something that's going to be at a cost to the district. I would recommend that you can take a voice vote if the board's comfortable.
So we can sell these things.
You can sell them and make money off of them if there is a willing buyer.
Right. I think that we were told in the past that there were some issues with that, but that's really good to know. We should have set up at the community yard sale.
Where would this money go?
Set them up at the community yard sale.
Might put it on our new Facebook account.
So there you go.
You could also put it on Municipid.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Disposal of old books.
Board is asked to authorize the disposal of old books pursuant to school code regulations and school policy.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? YMCA after-school program.
Board is asked to approve the YMCA after-school program, which is free for students. The district is asked to provide transportation for 2 days, which we have buses going by that area. This fall, the YMCA will reinstate the 7th and 8th grade initiative program, which provides free membership to middle school students. The goal of the initiative is to encourage youth to make healthy choices and avoid risky behaviors so they can succeed in life and school.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Is this in the budget? Do we have?
There's already a bus that goes.
Yeah, there's already,
Okay.
from what Mrs. Geyer has told me, there's already a route that goes by there.
It goes by there. So we don't have to do any additional to fit the kids?
We don't have to do any additional routing for this.
Unless every 7th grader decides they're going to go, right?
That is true, yes.
This will be 2 days a week for how long?
I think it runs through March, if I'm correct, but
So almost even all,
yeah,
like
it's
almost all year.
It's a large part of the year.
Fantastic.
Any other discussion? I'm going to do a voice vote here, or should this be a roll call?
You can do a voice vote on this one because the information provided by the business manager is that it's at no additional transportation cost.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Formation of district threat assessment team.
Board is asked to approve the formation of a district threat assessment team. The threat assessment team requires the inclusion of individuals with expertise in A, school health, B, counseling, school psychology or social work, C, special education, and D, school administration. The designated team leaders, school safety and security coordinator. Other optional members may include members of the community or other agencies that can assist with threat assessment. Members currently are Greg Kiefer, Dan Clara, Dan Krofcheck, Raquel Sutton, Tracy Kuhar, Ron Haichu, Kathy Polygus, Andrea Hanford, and Jim Carson.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second? Second. Discussion? Voice vote here.
That's correct.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Formation of district safety committee.
Board is asked to approve the formation of the District Safety Committee made up of the following employees: Pam Mondock, Business Manager; Vince Masha, Superintendent; Peg Tarzan, Secretary to the Superintendent; Dan Clara, Assistant to the Superintendent; Dan Krofcheck, High School Principal; Raquel Sutton, Middle School Principal; Tracy Kuhar, Elementary School Principal; Ron Haichu, Primary Center Principal; Vicki Capone, Food Service Director. We also need a food service employee to be determined. Mark Price, Custodial Supervisor, Custodial Employer to be determined. Charlie Basham, Maintenance Supervisor. Steve Duggar, Maintenance, and Greg Kiefer, School Police. And I do believe Ms. Mondoff, that has to be done by the end of this month, is that correct? If
That is correct.
if the
We have,
team is formed?
we need to have a meeting this month.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Is this?
Should we have a school
Discussion.
board member? Should there be a school board member on
There
this?
can be.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking, is that appropriate? No?
There can be. What this basically does is to look at the security of the district overall, and it also will help us get discounts with our insurance company. So that's one of the reasons we want to make sure and do this.
So with that being said, are they going to, with who's doing like our paving and stuff, are they going to be marking areas in yellow for sidewalks and stuff? Because wouldn't that be a safety concern?
No, that, we would, if I'm correct, the safety committee would identify potential unsafe practices, the potential areas. We already know that some of the paving and that is unsafe, but the purpose is to identify and keep track of any unsafe practices that are being performed in the district, to identify potential areas within schools or that might not have been currently identified.
When are we, I guess maybe it would have to go to East Huntington, but I really, really think that there should be some kind of crosswalk area across from where the football stadium parking lot is to the high school. There is none. It's just it's a solid two solid yellow lines. We have our band students, we have our football kids, we have
guessing
all of our
PennDOT.
students really go across there.
Would PennDOT have to do that since it's a state route?
State road.
And
State
maybe,
road.
yeah. I think that would be a super big safety hazard.
Is there anybody that would like to sit on this? Mr. Carson, would you like to? No.
I will.
No.
I will sit on it.
Will?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that'd be a good fit since you're on the other one. Yes, he did say yes. Adam, before he changes his mind.
Just need one on there?
I mean, it.
I didn't know if you heard me. I would,
That's fine.
if it's needed, I will.
And Nicole. Okay, so do I need a motion to amend that list?
Yes, you'll do a motion to amend to add Mr. Carson and Mrs. O'Rear, and then take a vote on the substantive item as changed.
Okay, so I need a motion to add Mr. Carson and Mrs. O'Rear to this list.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And now I need a motion to
approve
to approve
the
the
safety
amended-
committee as amended.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second? Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Pay survey.
Board is asked to authorize district participation in the pay survey for grades 6, 8, and 10 for the fall of 2021.
So I need a motion.
Make the motion.
I need a second. I need a second.
Second, I don't know, did
Okay. Discussion. So is there something that says we have to participate in this?
I do believe that when we had our last audit from the Auditor General, that was mentioned in their participation in it.
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
I do believe that our last audit through the Auditor General, there was mention of participation in the pay survey to gather data for the district.
That's interesting. I would recommend the board just double check. It seems kind of uncommon to have an auditor recommend that there be a youth survey conducted.
It wasn't recommended, it was just mentioned.
Oh, just mentioned?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if it was just a mention, it's not something that's required. These types of surveys, some districts find them to be helpful in terms of assessing needs for student supports, but it's at the board's election whether this is something that you find beneficial or not.
It is strictly volunteer on the board, on the district.
Do we get information back?
We do, I do believe, I have to attach the last report under administrative content.
That's under your,
No, that would be under the
this.
page.
Okay.
We use this information? I mean, do we look at the report and go from there from it, or?
Yeah, we tied in with our St. Vincent's Prevention Services.
So when they mentioned it, we already were doing it.
Yeah, we did, last time it was done in 2019. It wasn't done last year because of COVID.
Is there, what information do you have of the most recent, you're talking about pays, right?
Yeah,
What was your last report? What did it say?
it is attached to board docs. I put the entire report attached to board docs.
It's 108 pages.
It's pretty long.
108 pages. This survey has 234 questions on it. I would estimate at least 120 of them are about drugs, drinking, personal information about family. Well, there are people in my family argue and insult and yell at each other. We argue over and over. People in my family have arguments. How many adults do you know who use marijuana, cocaine? Do you know anybody who sells drugs? Do your brothers and sisters do this? It's 234 questions of a. It's just incredible to me that anybody could ask these things.
But also, I feel like there may be students who are experiencing those things that may not be comfortable publicly or going to a counselor, but that might want to express that they are having issues with those problems, and an anonymous survey may give them, the feeling of empowerment to be able to express some of those concerns, even if they don't feel comfortable necessarily going to a counselor or going to someone. And then our district is getting information to know that there are students who are concerned about these various issues, and that it's something that we need to address among our student population.
Where do we draw the line? This is so invasive.
But it's also you don't have to participate if you don't want to participate. So I think that it gives us valuable information, and it's not specific. It's not coming back and saying, Johnny Smith said blah, 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 blah. It's just giving us information about the students in our community.
You don't know that. You just don't know that. Not in today's world. Not in today's world. This is done online. This just rips the guts out of privacy and dignity and puts kids in. This is unbelievable. And we're giving it to sixth graders.
Yeah, because sixth graders are dealing with these kind of issues.
We have sixth graders getting pregnant.
There's a question in here.
So,
do you like your mother?
What would it matter?
Do you like your mother? Do you get along with your mother? Do you get along with your father?
And there are some kids who might not get along with their mother, get along with their father. I mean, there are students who come from all sorts of situations and backgrounds.
It's on a volunteer basis. Any child can say, no, I don't want to participate in this.
Families can opt out.
Yeah.
How can you justify doing this to these kids?
But we're not doing it to these kids. If it does get approved, it would be strictly voluntary. Any family can opt out. They don't have to participate in
Nicole,
it.
do you think people realize this is going on and they know they can opt out and so forth? Over the years, I've had people, they didn't know about it until it was over. They didn't know it happened until it's over.
When is this given?
October.
So can something be sent home with every child saying,
we have to
right, you are able to opt out if you want to?
Yeah, we have to notify it. It's an opt-out participation.
How many people have seen this? How many parents know what this is?
Before
34 questions.
Before parents make the decision about whether to opt their child out, they're given an opportunity to look at the survey instrument to know what it's asking. The notice letter will typically it'll have a description of what is included, and then if more information is needed, the parent can request a copy.
Just make sure you send it out a few weeks before you do it, because it takes about a week and a half to get the survey questions sent back.
Speaking of something like this, do we still do that whole like BMI thing too? Like that, I don't know, what was that? Presidential weight thingy? I don't know, what is that called? Where they measure the child's BMI?
You still do that here? You send that home?
The nurse sends it home.
Does the nurse send it home?
Does a letter get sent home, like basically telling them whether your kid is... Okay. Okay.
Okay, so is there any other discussion on this? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
No.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
No.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 7 yes, 2 no.
Air quality and water quality testing.
The board is asked to approve the testing of air quality and water quality throughout the district, and there is attached here an estimate for water screening. I do not believe that Mr. Basham received anything yet about the air quality.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
What's this going to cost?
$1,500.
Oh, there it is, there, 1,500. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-all.
EITC Letter of Support Community Foundation of Westmoreland County.
The board is asked to authorize a letter of support to the Community Foundation of Westmoreland County expressing interest to participate in the Educational Improvement Tax Program for the 2021-2022 school year.
I need a motion.
Make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Masha, can you tell me, did we do an application to be eligible to receive EITC money?
I don't know if that was submitted to the business office or not. I would have.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite make out what you were asking, Mrs. Smith.
I was wondering who does the application for our school district and if it was done to be eligible to receive EITC money.
Basically, what you do is the letter of support, you would fill it out and send it in, and we can certainly do that but it says it needs to be signed by the superintendent.
Well, I mean, your organization also has to typically apply to be eligible to receive EITC money?
I'll check into that because so we need, okay. Because I've been trying to reach McCrae Martino over at the Community Foundation of Westmoreland County to ask for some additional information, and I haven't received any emails or any phone calls back from her. But I'll see.
So, and I know that like businesses in town, it's a way that they can, I guess, I don't know if it's instead of paying taxes or what, but their tax money goes to an organization who is eligible to receive that tax money. But there is an application process, there is reporting that has to be done.
I'm familiar with the reporting because I just recently did that.
Right, well, and I guess when we were talking about some other things with the auditing, I'm just making sure that we are still eligible, that was done.
Okay, I will double check on that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Should we table this Until we get the information?
No, has nothing, this is basically, the Westmoreland Community Foundation acts as an agent. They receive money and then they disperse it at their will to people. Now, as far as I know, we have not received money from them in the past, from what I've been told, but I think we should definitely ask them for money if we're supporting.
Christy, the library gets it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This is a fabulous
Oh,
program.
it's fantastic.
It's
And
probably one of
any
the few
business,
things-
any business can do it. It's just not.
It's one
I
of
know
the-
that Mid-Penn Bank, if there's, I'm just putting a plug out there, they are willing to do like seminars telling businesses how they can participate in this. But I mean, there is, for both ends, it's a process. It's not just, oh, we want to do this. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that businesses could help the district with. If they decide they want to do this, then some of their money could come our
Directly
way,
back
which would
to
be
the
nice,
district.
as long as we're eligible to receive.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? EITC letter of support, the Consortium for Public Education.
The board is asked to authorize a letter of support to the Consortium for Public Education expressing interest to participate in the Educational Improvement Tax Program for the 2021-2022 school year.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
So this is essentially the same thing, just through a different
Yes,
organization.
so I'll have to do the same thing with that as well.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? IU7 PARSS membership.
The board is asked to join the Pennsylvania Association of Rural and Small Schools at a membership cost of $850. And as stated last week, this is an advocacy group for small rural schools.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second. Second. Discussion.
So we have not previously been a part of this organization,
We
correct?
have not.
Okay. And what, if anything, do we expect to get from joining this organization?
Well, I do believe it allows us to have a voice, and I do know that, we, through the IU, we have, there is an advocacy group, and I do believe Mrs. Smith has volunteered in the past. You went to the COLA meetings. So any chance that we can get any type of legislative support for our schools, this is an opportunity for that to occur. There is a newsletter, and I will start forwarding that to the board. Dr. Sarden from York is the chairperson for our county, so she usually sends out information, and once I get that, I can start sending that to the board members.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes, I guess. Yeah.
Mrs. O'Rear? Mr. Polakowski?
No.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 yes, 1 no.
Southmoreland Area Midget Football Association usage of the concession stand.
Board is asked to authorize the Southmoreland Area Midget Football Association to use concession stand facilities during the weekend. A use of facilities document was submitted to both Mr. Krofcheck and Mr. Boring.
You need a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Does this work the same way that you have to have a cafeteria staff there like you do if you use the kitchen?
I do not believe it does, no. It's very similar to our concession stand. Mr. Boring, last year, Mr. Boring, in previous years with the concession stand, we did not have to have a registered cafeteria overseer. It was through booster organizations in the past, so it would be following a similar practice.
Any other discussion?
Do we have, I know some of the equipment in there, I think, Jim, you had said before, some of the equipment belongs to the midget football? Is that correct?
I didn't hear you, Chris. What's that?
Huh?
What did you say?
What?
There's equipment in there?
Okay, so do we have like a way to know this is their stuff, this is our stuff? Because we'll have to replace the stuff that's ours if something happens, which is perfectly fine. I mean, we'd do that anyway. But if there's stuff that's like specifically theirs and specifically ours,
There's really nothing in there. There's Pepsi coolers that don't belong to anybody, belong to Pepsi. And everything else is just cabinets. We need an ice machine down there.
is there an like a fryer and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, everything pretty much belongs to the midget football.
Oh, everything's midgets.
Yeah, there's really
Okay.
nothing in there that belongs to the school. I mean, everything besides the fixtures. I mean,
So they've just been letting everybody else use it?
Right.
Yeah, the grill's
Gotcha.
ours. Got a
Yep.
hot dog roller this year.
Any other discussion?
This can be a voice that cropped.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? SAMCA and Southmoreland Area Midget Football Association usage of concession stands. Is this, wait a minute, so this is
during high school football games.
okay, so we approved them to use,
during weekends.
okay, just the concession stand. We didn't approve them using the facility, just the concession stand.
I don't think we have to approve them to use the facility because they filled out a policy 707 for it.
I think we already approved the concession for their use. This is for Friday
Okay,
nights.
I'm just clarifying. SAMCA and Southmoreland Area Midget Football Association usage of concession stand during Friday night football games.
Board is asked to authorize the SAMCA and Southmoreland Area Midget Football Association to use stadium concession facilities during Southmoreland football games.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
So I have a question, not a question, I don't know, a comment. I'm fine with this at the time being, but I also feel like there are athletes and organizations within the district that could have or have previously used this to try and raise some funds for their organizations. We have various teams standing at Walmart begging for money, and now we're letting, and I realize that the Midget Association is also very closely linked to the district, but they're not part of the district. And so, I just have some concern about that.
It's about tagging, okay? Not begging, tagging.
Of the concessions, our high school, middle school boosters were offered. No other organization wanted to run Friday night football games. So it was offered, basketball will run basketball games, wrestling will do their wrestling events, boys soccer will run boys soccer, girls soccer no longer wants to run even their own events, they can't get help to run it. So our school boosters were offered a chance to run the concessions. And for Friday night as well, they turned it down.
I can add, we did, not last year, but the year prior. I remember, we went in there each, it was a particular Friday, volleyball team had to go in, softball team had to go in, track had to go in. I think they even involved band with it, and I think that night, they were able to.
Yes, they did.
I think they split it three ways: the band,
Yeah, something like that,
the band, the football, and a whatever organization came in.
Prior to the last, I'm going to say it was 19 school year, we used to have a position in the association, which was usually never held by an association member, but it was called faculty manager. The faculty manager handled all the ordering and organized getting groups to volunteer to come in to do that. All the proceeds went directly back to the district. In the outset of the 20 school year, we actually sat down, the athletic department, and this was when Mr. Swink was AD, Mr. Masha, myself. We farmed it out to the boosters. So then every booster decided what they were going to run their own organization, their own event, and then those proceeds would go back to the parents' associations. Subsequently, on Fridays, the football and band approached Mr. Boring and said, we don't want to do this on Friday nights. So then Mr. Boring reached out to the other boosters and said, would you like to do it? And they expressed no interest. So consequently, I think, we often do this with JO and we do this with midget football. There are kids and there are programs, and I feel even though they're not specifically district oriented, there are students. So the boosters stepped up from SAMFA and said, we're going to do it. And I think we should, I think it's a very valuable activity for program building. And, those little kids love to be part of the action. And I think that's the next logical group to go to say, hey, who wants to run the Friday night concessions? And they stepped up and said they would do it. I think it's valuable that happens.
Sam has cheerleaders, right? Is that midget cheerleaders?
So that was worked out. It's going to be the Youth Midget Association for football that runs it. They reached out to cheerleaders. They're going to do 10 helpers a night going in to help run the concessions, and they'll give the cheerleading organization a portion of, it's like $500 a night to come in and help run the concession. But it'll be the youth football that is running the concessions.
But that's all between the two of them. It has nothing to do with the district.
Right, no money from our pockets, nothing coming from us or into us.
We don't do any of the ordering.
No.
We don't do anything, right?
It's all them.
Okay, good.
I appreciate the information. I just know when we have so many people, so many teams doing so many fundraisers and trying to do so much.
Right.
I just want to make sure that,
It's a very tedious, the Friday night game is very tedious. And when Charlie used to order, I wouldn't see him on a Friday. He was gone all day picking up buns and getting all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it. And plus, it's, being such a, I feel we're probably going to see large attendance this year, kind of being away from that. It could be a very tedious night. So it has put out there for everyone. And again, they all get to keep their own concessions, which quite a bit throughout the course of the season.
Like football only has 5, but like soccer gets 8 to 10. Wrestling has 7. Basketball has 12 home games. So that, it works out there if you look at it that way.
Thank you. And they'll fill out a policy 707 for this too, since they'll be.
We haven't done that in the past, but if you would like them to, we can get them to fill one out for it.
Oh, I would just say just to cover us because they're renting it and they'll be liable since they're renting. I would say just to have some.
I recommend it. I think I had recommended it, but I agree that that's.
Now, will there be, so there would be another, if they fill out another 707 requesting these additional times, there would be another fee for that.
No, because if they're doing it for us, I would just say yes, they're renting it. So it's
technically we have the security already there for Friday night games.
Yeah.
We're not covering the cost of any of that stuff for.
Yeah, no,
for
they
them,
wouldn't be charged. They're doing it as a service, kind of. I mean, they're making money, but they're doing it as a service so that there's food at the games.
They're renting it for $0.
When you approve it, you can waive the fee in your motion language.
Yeah, because the board doesn't approve the 707s unless it's something weird like the concession stand. That's just approved by the building principal or whoever is in charge of that area. So we wouldn't do that, but they have that right to waive fees for that when they approve it.
Now, I would ask if you want to waive a fee, I would ask that that be a board action.
Can we do that, right? As part of this?
Yes, you can amend the motion to include, what number is it again?
So could we say, make the motion pending filling out the 707 with 0 rental fee for Friday night football games?
Yes.
Did you have a motion? You had a motion.
So I had a motion, so I need a motion to amend I need a motion to amend the motion.
Sure.
I need a second. Discussion.
I didn't do anything today.
Okay,
What are we amending?
We're amending the motion to say that we're waiving the rental fee for them to use the concessions
They need to
facilities.
file a 707, and we will be waiving the fee for Friday night concession stand.
They pay a fee for Saturday?
For Sundays, yes.
Oh,
They
for
already
Sundays.
did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So they're basically like, I mean, okay, sure, why not?
Any discussion about the amendment? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So now I need a motion to approve the amended motion.
Amended item 24.
Yes. So
I'll
that
do
would
that.
be amended to also say filing of the 707 with the waiving of the fee.
Yep.
I need a motion.
Moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Amazon Future Explorers Program.
Board is asked to approve a partnership with Amazon as part of the Amazon Future Engineer Program at no cost to the district and provide both STEM and computer science curriculum opportunities. Middle school STEM and computer science department are requesting to partner with Project STEM, and I included their website, their link to their website.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Voice votes. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Blackboard Renewal.
The board is asked to renew the contract with Blackboard for SchoolWire software subscription and SchoolWire's web in the amount of $7,619.83, which is an increase of $149.41 from the 2021 fiscal year.
Did we say that we wanted to,
I had contacted Kaylin Mace at Blackboard and asked whether or not we could do a month-to-month, and she said we could not. And then I said, and then she said, according to the contract terms, since we had continued to use Blackboard and apparently they monitor that, the SchoolWire's system has auto-renewed for this year. So what we'll have to do is make a motion or a notation for maybe next April when they send the renewal out to look at different options, to have different options to present to you.
So did we already pay this?
Pardon me?
We didn't pay it yet, but
We didn't pay it yet, but it is for the $1,798.71 is for the subscription, and then there's the power hosting service, which is $5,821.12.
so is there something in the contract that's basically like, if you don't terminate it by 60 days prior or something like that, then?
That's what she's telling me.
You should
Oh,
get a
we want
copy
to
of
see
the
that
con-
contract.
I need a copy of the contract.
Yeah. But I think probably the most important point is to notate it on calendars so that
Yep.
it's caught early enough that it can be addressed next year.
Mr. Mastra had Pushkar look at some other options of, and this one in particular is one that several other districts in the county are using. So I think it's worth looking at. I think he did say something about them possibly being able to do a demonstration.
Yes.
So I think we should move forward with finding somebody new to use moving forward after, obviously, this year.
Do we know if there's any sort of like early termination fee or anything from the service we're currently using? If we would decide we want to.
We'll have to look at the contract to assess that. So when you get the contract, if you want to email it to me, I can
Certainly.
take a look at that.
Cable does? Cable or no?
It appears by all accounts that you've been receiving the services, so you want to pay for the renewal, and we will review whether there's an opportunity to go with a different provider early rather than waiting a full year.
I think Mr. Kraftcheck has something.
I wanted to clarify, and I'm speaking on behalf of Mrs. Sutton, who actually met with a representative from Blackboard last year. If we are in fact locked into this deal, there are other platforms within Blackboard that we could utilize to make the product better. So to give you an example, at Upper St. Clair, South Hills School District uses Blackboard. So if you take a look at their website, you could see the capabilities of it. So it won't, I know we've been talking for years about improving this website. We can improve it within Blackboard if we can't get out of this. So it's not a done deal that we're stuck with what we have.
As far as the platform goes.
As far as the platform.
So you could maybe put it out there.
Yeah, that's definitely good to know.
Thank you. Thank you.
We didn't. 'cause-
So who is in charge? Never mind. No. Take it back.
No? So I had Mr. Masher write down that Upper St. Clair is using a different version of Blackboards. We can look into that and possibly have somebody work on setting up a new site. So I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second. Discussion. A roll call?
Mrs. Raymond? Yes. Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
I think she left.
So we need to have the minutes reflect that Mrs. Smith left at about 9:04, and she had previously told Mr. Mash and I she would be leaving at 9.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Carson? Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Nope.
Is that a nope?
No. Sorry.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries. 6 yes, 2 no, 1 absent.
Scottsdale Parade?
Board is asked to authorize the Scottsdale Council permission to line up for the annual Halloween parade in the Southmoreland Elementary School parking lot on Sunday, October 31st, 2021, from 5 o'clock to 6:30.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Fall Festival Parade?
The board is asked to authorize permission for the Scottsdale Fall Festival to use the Scottsdale Elementary School parking lot for the parade on September 18th, 2021, from 10:30 to 12 noon. The parade lines up in the parking lot and then moves as a parade unit to Chestnut Street and finishes at the bottom of Pittsburgh Street near Carson's Catering.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Establish capital bank account.
The board is asked to authorize permission for the business office to establish a depository account for the capital fund.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, so what exactly is this account being created for?
The account is being created for the $760,000 that we're going to be getting for the roof project. By PDE standards, you can't commingle the funds with the general fund if you're going to have it specifically for capital projects.
So this couldn't go into like the assigned, but the assigned accounts that we have, because don't we have different like
To my knowledge, we don't have a current capital fund account set up.
Okay.
So therefore, we need to set one up to house these funds.
Was what we had set up from Roughdale different from selling roughs? I thought that had to go into like a capital.
I couldn't understand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It didn't go into an account. This is to actually establish an account, not,
So where have our funds for capital projects where have they been previously?
Well, Cliff Pastel, that was here and presented to you from Dinsmore, had basically advised me that I needed to set up a new account for this.
Okay.
So that it's not.
I'm not questioning that we should do it. I'm just confused as to.
I wonder if it's because it's money coming from an institution for a specific capital project, like because we're getting it from the bank. I
believe
I guess for audit purposes.
It's a specific
project.
Have to go.
So therefore, you have to account for that separately in the system.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Kristen Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Carson. Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear.
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 7 yes, 1 pass, 1 absent.
Board by a majority vote of the full board. Yes? This says it has to be done by a full board.
Majority vote of the full board.
As long as
Oh,
five.
sorry, I read it backwards.
Okay. And then we did have a walk-on item for Representatives Warner and DeVanzo would like to provide box truck for shredding available to the community September 25th from 9 a.m. to noon at the elementary middle school parking lot at no cost to the district. Want to put that in the form of a motion? Or do we just need a motion to approve?
A motion to approve is sufficient.
I need a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Moving into personnel, Southmoreland School District Educational Support Staff Plan.
Board is asked to approve the amended Southmoreland School District Educational Support Staff Plan. Van aides and armed security guard were added.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear.
Yes.
Polakowski, leave plan. Mrs. Raymond.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith is absent. Mrs. Kristen Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Intermittent FMLA.
Board is asked to approve an intermittent FMLA leave for employee number 1783.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. Yes,
All-
you can.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resignation of security guard.
Board is asked to accept the resignation of Ken Stewart as a district security guard, and I'd like to thank Mr. Stewart for his service.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Substitute van driver.
The board is asked to approve the hiring of Robert Marhefta as a substitute van driver as needed. Robert is currently a Southmoreland School District transportation aide and will stay as a transportation aid.
Need a motion?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion?
So this will only be filling in for the current van driver that we have,
Yes.
not for the other position?
No, whenever.
Okay.
Tom's.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 yes, 1 absent.
Posting for middle school NJHS supplemental position.
The board is asked to approve the posting for the middle school NJHS sponsor.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion?
You can, yeah.
Voice vote, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Advertise for substitute paraprofessional positions.
The board is asked to approve the advertising for substitute paraprofessional positions.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
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 Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 yes, 1 absent.
Usage of ESS for the provision of substitute paraprofessionals.
The board is asked to approve the usage of ESS for the provision of substitute paraprofessionals on an as-needed basis.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 yes, 1 absent.
Creation of part-time armed security guard position at the rate of $19 per hour.
The board is asked to create the position of part-time armed security guard at the rate of $19 per hour. The job description is the same as school police officer without arrest powers. The position will be added to the SSD support personnel contract, which already has been approved.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second? Discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 yes, 1 absent.
Hiring of full-time and part-time school police.
The board is asked to approve the hiring of Tim Karpiak as a full-time school police officer at a rate of $23.46 per hour, and Adam Kajala, and I apologize if that is not proper pronunciation, as a part-time armed security guard at a rate of $19 per hour.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike? Mrs.
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation of paraprofessional.
The board is asked to accept the resignation of Lori Mondock as a district paraprofessional.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Need a second.
Second.
Discussion?
That's not Pam,
Correct.
for sure.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resignation of van aide.
The board is asked to approve the resignation of Bev Tissue as van aide, and she will be paid for any unused sick and personal days at a per diem rate effective immediately.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Advertise for district dentist.
Board is asked to authorize administration to advertise for district dentist.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Item number 13, advertise and post for van driver. I need a motion to table that.
We're not tabling it, though.
Are we like,
We're just saying that.
So I need a motion to remove this completely and not table. So how do I do that? Just a motion to remove.
I would suggest, so you can do it through a motion to remove the item from the agenda, motion to amend agenda to remove item H13. Or you can take a vote on it and allow it to fail. So those are your two options.
It's voted down, right?
That'd be a voice vote?
Okay, so I need a motion to advertise and post for van driver. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Voice vote. All those in favor? Opposed?
Nay. Opposed.
Motion fails.
Citizens' comment.
Michelle, I have a question.
I'm
Do you
sorry.
do it after this or before?
No, you can go ahead.
Now?
Yes.
This is the mother of all questions, and I've had people ask me, and I don't know the answer. I believe there are 17 states. The CDC is a national organization. They're unelected. They're just a group of people who are calling the shots with all these rules. I think 17 states in the United States have said, we're not going to abide by your rules. We're just not going to do it. 17 states. What happens, I mean, I know that's never going to happen here, but what happens if we simply say, we're not going to go by this stuff, we're going to send our kids to school, we're going to masks and things like that. What happens? What physically, emotionally, or financially, what really happens if you do that?
Well, our state still complies with it, right? Correct?
Pennsylvania has not made that determination. Pennsylvania has made the determination that they are asking school districts to follow the CDC guidance.
Yeah, I know that, but what happens if you don't? What really happens? They shut down Southmoreland?
What happens if you don't? So there are a few things that can happen. In order to get the ESSER's funding, you were required to pass a health and safety plan, which you passed again this evening. And if that plan is not passed, and if it is not followed to PDE's expectation, they could secure and hold the ESSER's funding from disbursement to you as a district. I think
we wouldn't get any state funding.
These are possible, not any state funding. I'm talking about specifically the ESSER's funding that's been authorized.
Yeah, the ESSER's I can see.
So
but what happens in Pennsylvania? What would they shut this school down?
There is a possibility that the Department of Health, Department of Health has the authorization if there's an outbreak of a level that is unsafe for students to continue to attend school, they would be authorized to shut the school district down. And all of these, of course, are things that, it's impossible to predict whether it would happen, but it could happen.
They passed legislation in Pennsylvania that the governor can only shut things down for, 14 days or something, and then the legislature takes control. The legislature takes control. He doesn't have the power to do this stuff.
I'm not not familiar with that, this would be the Department of Health coming in and advising the school district whether or not it would be safe to continue schooling for children if there were an outbreak. Another thing that can happen, and this comes into the conversation, if there are transmissions of COVID-19 in schools, which end up in hospitalizations or whatever, and a family would choose to pursue legal action against the district, they could raise claims, a myriad of different claims. You would probably have defenses to a lot of those claims. As a political subdivision, you have a immunity against negligence.
We would go to jail. We would go to jail.
No, I'm talking about lawsuits that could potentially come out of it. You know, we've been saying it's impossible to predict, bless you.
Thank you.
But there is the potential for litigation in districts that do not at least make best efforts to comply with what the state is asking you to do.
There's another thing that I was asked about. The recent information is that when they do this contact tracing, they call it, 50% of the people will not answer questions anymore. They won't talk. As soon as they find out why you called, they won't talk to you anymore. 50% of the people are denying any information based on contact tracing. How effective is that going to be if this is the case?
So we're contact tracing ourselves. The contact tracing you're speaking of is, say I go in and I have a COVID test and it's positive, and they contact trace with me.
Yeah.
So the Department of Health would call me, who had a positive test, and if I don't return a call or I don't answer, that's what they're talking about. When we are contact tracing here in the district and we are called because there was a positive case, we can go back to seating charts and we are contact tracing
You actually call
within the
people.
district.
You actually call people, right?
So we don't actually call people to contact trace. We call them to notify them through contact tracing, your child was exposed. But the contact tracing you're talking about that's in the newspapers that people aren't complying, that's if you go somewhere as just a citizen, regardless of the school involvement, and the Department of Health contacts you. Yes, that is first of all, it's very slow. We've had contact tracing through the Department of Health that has reached out to the school district after children have been back in school. It's taking that long. So the contact tracing we're talking about isn't we're waiting for the Department of Health to call us. We are calling them because we have been notified by a parent or a staff member that there was a positive
So there's
case.
all kinds of contact tracing.
Yes. So like but I agree with you that what you're discussing, yes, that is a problem that all Department of Health
Michelle, you know, for serious diseases, they're direct contact tracing. I mean, they want names, addresses, and phone numbers.
but since the onset of this, most people have not been complying with picking up the phone and answering and saying where you've been, who you've been around.
Right.
But we are not relying per se on the Department of Health to call us with cases
because I was under the impression that it was a big deal here, you know, that this was,
it is, but we're
that
doing
it was
that
working, that it was working, you know.
Yeah.
And they're saying that it's marginal, that
this
the
is
investment is
different.
pretty marginal for what you get back.
Right.
When you put
So
that
this
time and
is,
effort into it.
when we say contact tracing here, it's different. It's what's handled within the district.
It's more contact notification then. Contact notification is really what it is, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything? Okay, citizens' comment?
Jan Kiefer, 628 Homestead Avenue. The principals sort of interchanged the terms diagnosed with COVID, positive with COVID, or I guess I might have listened longer and they would have said cases or traced or whatever the subject. So we've talked about the PCR test a lot here, and I'm sure everyone has seen both sides of the PCR test and know what that controversy is, what the CDC's movement has been in the last 6 months, how they pulled it off, said we're not going to use a PCR test. Then they use it at a lower cycle rate if you've been vaccinated and are hospitalized to see if you have COVID. So this is a CDC that the brass came up here and said, this is the game, ladies and gentlemen. This is the law. We're going to do what we did last year. We're not going to break away. We just floated that idea. So here's what we're locked down with. We're locked down with a CDC who has a list of nefarious characters over the years, including Anthony Fauci, should be held for crimes against humanity. We have a CDC, I'll just run down a little list here, save some time. You know, that now we're doing the booster shots. No one told us about that. They're supposed to be 80% protective, and, you know, we know that's down in the 30s now. I mentioned the PCR testing that you have to come to grips with here and see where we're doing it. And they're censoring everyone who comes up and says any information is here. I watch TV for 10, 15 minutes. I think everything I heard there has a legitimate challenge that is being presented as gospel and reflected up here behind me with the brass and you guys up here, with the exception of Dr. Fike and maybe Nicole. But Nicole has to learn how to get her point across. So there are 100,000 people, there are 100,000 physicians, most credentialed people in the United States. I've alluded to this before. They're saying, no, this is not right. This has not been, our nation has not had this level of debate before. You know, you're not going to see it on TV, but it's out there, and if you look for it, you'll see, and their whole narrative is wrong. And it's not only wrong, it's damaging. How many people have got a test, went home, thought they had COVID when they didn't? We know 80% were highly false tests, and those people died from the placebo effect. How many children have been scared to death to live because of this narrative that you're coming across with? Millions of people around the world have turned and understood the fallacy of what we're getting fed on our TV. So it's about time, if you're all sitting at home watching TV and 60, 80%, 90% of it's okay with you, let us know that, because I can tell you 90, 95% of it has legitimate it needs challenge. You know, this is mind control at the worst level, and you just got to wrap your brains around it. I got another minute. And so the progress reports. I'd like to progress and have a kid come out of high school who has a chance to be healthy, none more of these 11-year-old diabetics with all the side effects that are going to be coming in the next few years. A kid who's critical enough to look and say, boy, I had all this TV jammed down my throat my first 18 years of life. I had all this public school given to me. Some kid who's going to sit down and say, no, what's good and what's wrong? And these kids don't know how to get up in the morning, start the day, and get through life without making continuous bad lifestyle choices that are, and as students, that are inhibiting their ability to learn, their ability to be emotionally comfortable and physically comfortable. These are things that your health committee could look at and take the Pepsi signs down and put up the carrot juice signs. You want to turn your head and walk away? These kids are being damaged. There's no debate that we're the most unhealthy children in the world. And this is easily, and we know why that is. We know it's because of Pepsi and the meat industry and the garbage food industry and people like you guys who keep them sitting in schools instead of living a natural lifestyle and teach them not to be critical and not learn how to get up and live a nice life. That's what public education and media does to it, and we have to fight this. No one signed our generation, our next generation, up to have subliminal messages and commercials and behavior driven in them by the time they're 3 years old and then be given the public education babysitting conditioning.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
For Dan, so we can be on.